everything.
Alright guys, we are back in CodeCademy. We're doing the introduction to React.JS part 1. I just had Thursday, my first React online course, and now this came out and it was a nice refresher. And so I thought we'd do it to get into it. React's a very up-and-coming library. So basically what it's saying here, take a chance to read over it, but it's basically saying that React is fast, it's modular, it's very scalable and flexible, and it's rather popular. That's all that's going on right here. Just basically going over why you should learn React. So you'll see an example here. I just thought I'd reset this. So what we're talking about with JSX is basically how React allows you to write HTML in JavaScript. So you'll see right here, we're going to create a variable called h1. Excuse me. And we're just going to create some h1 tags that store the hello world. So within a variable here, we're storing what looks to be in our JavaScript file, basic HTML. And this is basically what our JSX is. So let's go ahead and run this. You'll be doing a lot of this as well. It's actually very intuitive, this aspect of it. So, cool, man. So I can kind of merge my HTML and JavaScript in a much more standard way. Yeah, and that's what JSX is. And that's basically what it tells you on it right here. Take a second to read that if you want know more about it, but that's basically it. Basically, the JSX turns it into basic JavaScript. That's basically what's going on here. Alright, cool. So in app.js, we're gonna create a variable. Can I text hello world? Use the example. Oh, it doesn't look like it wants to store it. So let's go ahead and just create a paragraph, and we're just gonna put in hello world. Let's see if it wants to store it in a variable. I think it does, because this doesn't do anything. Oh, apparently they're okay with us doing it like that. Whatever. So it goes over a few examples showing you how things can go. You can store other elements as well. You can store key value pairs like this, center, bend, and so on alongside of it. So we're going to create a variable here that's going to store an HTML5 article. Excuse me, I have the hiccups from some medication that I'm on from getting my wisdom teeth removed yesterday, so I apologize if I hiccup throughout the video. So we're going to store article tag here, and we'll leave it empty because it doesn't tell us to put anything in it. Oh, don't forget your semicolon as well. This basically says that we can add attribute names to our HTML like we would in normal HTML, which you can do. So we're going to declare a variable here called p1. We're going to set it equal to a paragraph tag with the word foo in it. And then we're going to create another variable here called p. Oops, let's go ahead and run this line by line. It takes a second to run on the website, so just be patient with it. We're creating another variable here called p2. And we're just going to store another p tag, and in here we're going to put bar. Let's go ahead and run that. And now you're going to see that it wants us to add some attributes. So the first attribute it wants us to give is ID, and set this equal to large, and we're going to set our P2 ID equal to small. Just basically showing us that this is a functionality of our JSX as well. So basically any attribute you want you can add here. Basically what's going on here is it says everything has to be nested within other elements. So you'll see right here we have an H1 that is nested within an A tag. You may want to use better indentation and line breaks, and you'll also have to throw brackets around this, because the way that the JSX works is oftentimes you'll need to store everything within one container, and we'll showcase that right now. So we're going to declare a new variable called var myDiv, and we're going to set this equal to an empty div. So next, we're going to store an H1, but because we have more than one HTML element, we're going to need to go ahead and throw these brackets around it. You can see an example right here as well if you want to slow up for a second. But basically, it can only process one thing at a time. One owner. It goes owner, parent, child, so you have to have the owner. That's kind of what's going on here. Oops, and we need to put the world in hello world for our third step here. I don't know what it was about this medication I'm on for my wisdom teeth, but it is giving me the hiccups. Blog.js removes. Please move blog.js back into removes and reset your files. Alright, let's go ahead and reset our files. What is going on right now? Your friend's blog is down. He's asked you to fix it. You immediately diagnose the issue. Oh, I think I already did it. But basically what the issue here is that this wasn't around it. Oh, no, that wasn't the issue. We need to create a div. So similar to how we have to put those brackets around it, it can only process one container and one like main element. So a lot of times you'll be throwing divs around your JSX like this. So it's like process this block, and the div, everything in the div is that block is really how you have to think about it. No. That should have been it. Div my div. Let's go ahead and run that one more time. That should be everything. Let's go ahead and refresh this page real quick. All we need to do here is create a div that goes around all of that, and it should work just fine. Cannot find module blog. So somehow our blog in here got reset. Which was that error that we got earlier on. I'm not quite sure what happened. So let's see if we can do this one more time. We're gonna hit OK and see if that will fix it. So whitehouse.js. And this apparently this is our compiled JS. That's kind of crazy. Let's go ahead and run this one more time. I'm not quite sure what happened, but it seems that the blog index page got lost. Let's go ahead and hit run a few times, see if it'll fix itself for us. But this is what you would do. You'd basically, I think what happened when I reset this is somehow it messed up the blog, because there's supposed to be like a blog file in here, or a blog, like blog.html. But our code here is correct. We're wrapping our JSX into one container that will allow us to process everything. All right, there we go. Let's see. I think there it goes. It added it back. So here it is again. Blog.js has been. Oh, wait a second. Let's see if it does it. So what we're basically going to be doing now is every time that you want to actually output, so this is just some mumbo jumbo that's going to be in every file basically, but so just recognize that for the time being. But what we're going to need to do here is our React DOM.render takes in two things. It takes in our JSX, which as of right now, we're just going to hard code in some stuff. An H1 element that takes in hello world. Normally what you would do here is you'd probably pass in your application. So you'd have a variable that stores all the app changes that you want and other apps within it. And then you just put in that variable name. And then this document.getElement by ID, all we're doing here is targeting an element within our index.html file that all these changes are going to go to. So oftentimes you'll only have like one thing here. And so let's go ahead and pull up index.html. And you'll see right here, main ID app. This is where our React JavaScript is going to go. So go ahead and run that and hope we don't get that stupid blog error again. Yo, come on, make sure it's React down here. Unless I typed it wrong, which I don't think I did. Oh my god, I did. So make sure you capitalize DOM, by the way. In React DOM. So see, it gets outputted right here. So we're outputting our JSX that comes in here, outputs right over here. So the first argument being passed to React DOM is our JSX expression, and then the other is the location. So select app.js. So let's jump over to app.js. We can go ahead and close previous JS. And what we want to do here is call our React DOM capitalized .render. So render here is rendering our components or our JSX. And we're going to pass in an H1. All this is going to say is render me. So from here, where do we want to render it? We want to render our JSX to get element by ID to the app. Go ahead and run that. So you'll see render me is now displayed there instead. Let's see here. This is just basic JavaScript saying it may make it seem a little weird since we've been using JSX, just kind of ignore it. At the end of the last exercise, this appeared on the screen, main ID, H1 render me. So instead of app, what we're going to do here is we're going to jump into our HTML, get rid of this main, and we're just basically going to change the span. So it's basically just showing you that we can target multiple things. We're going to name this container. And then what we're going to need to do is jump back into here, and we want to change app to container because app no longer exists. And we just want to go ahead and target the container now because that's what we changed. So I'll run that one more time. So we're outputting our, here comes our JSX, and then this is the location. So similar to how we just passed in pure like JSX, we can also pass in a variable, which we're going to do right now with multiple HTML elements. So here we're going to go ahead and do var my list. We're going to pass in a list. Because there's multiple elements, we're going to put those parentheses. We're going to start with a UL. And then within here, we're going to have some LIs. We'll just go with some of my favorite old school RPG, Super Mario RPG. We'll then hit it off with the classic Shikoden. I like Shikoden, the Shikoden series. And then one more for good measure. We'll do Breath of Fire. We could definitely throw Final Fantasy in here as well, but don't sweat that too much. All right, so we stored our variable myList here. So now what we want to do is we want to say, look, we need to render it. So we're going to react.on.render, and in here we're going to pass in our JSX or in our JSX variable here, and then all we're going to do is pass in where we want it. So we're going to say document.get element by ID, and note it probably doesn't matter, but you can also do this by class as well. ID is probably the correct way to do it, because you're not going to want to most likely target multiple things, and so you'll probably just have an ID that you're going to target. So this is kind of the standard convention. Then we'll render it, and then we have our three list items here, unordered list items, I should say. And that was basically the introductory course to our JSX. So we've learned about JSX elements, how they work, about needing to contain things as kind of one element, and then also how to actually output that to the HTML. So up next, it looks like we're going to be starting the first React component. So check out the next video for that. And as always, guys, thank you to everyone supporting me on Patreon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It helps out a ton, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you enjoyed it. And a special thanks to you who support me on Patreon. And if you're a recent college student or a recent college grad, go ahead and go to wayup.com for part-time, full-time, and internships. And a special thanks to CodeMentor.io for sponsoring the React course, which you can get to in the suggested video section. It's the first 2 hours of a 4-part series I'll be doing, led by a React professional, and some really good stuff. See you guys next time.